And in my 30 years experience of hacking into peak performance and empowered leadership and human potential, this is the number one distinction that trips us up.
Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning into the Help Others movement. I've got a special guest today, Tanja Jones. She is a high performance mindset coach. She's one of the most lovely people I know. She's helped countless people transform their lives and live their true potential and live a really fulfilled life. So she's a perfect person to come for me to interview. So Tanja, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you so much, Susan. I'm really grateful.
Tanja, we're going to cover a lot of things. I'm really looking forward to picking your brain and really understanding how people go from being stuck to unstuck. So your main client base are real estate agents, and so you're, the personal coach for them. But whether you're in real estate or whether, what industry you're in, people have the same issues in their life. They can't get past a certain point, whether if it's fear or whether if something's just stopping them. So I wanted to explore, what are the main concerns people have in their lives these days, and what are some practical tools to move past them?
So your first question of, what has people get stuck? Consider, Susan, and everybody watching, that at any point in time, in life, in any area of life, we can be in one of three places. We can be stuck, like feeling like we're just not getting anywhere. We can be oscillating, so taking 2 steps forward and 2 steps back. We diet, we lose weight, and then we kind of go back, put on a few kilos, or we have money and things are looking good, and then we don't have money, or we feel really confident and then we feel like crap.
Yeah.
And then the final one is we feel really free, and this is where we feel fulfilled and, alive and happy and peaceful. So most people, in my experience, doing this work for years, 98% of people are either stuck or oscillating, mostly oscillating, in all the important areas of life, whether that be their relationship with themselves, self-love, self-worth, self-esteem, and personal confidence. Money is a big one, relationships, their career, and a big one is life purpose. Like, everyone wants to feel like their life matters and they're worth something. And so some people are like, well, I just don't know what that is, and that has them feeling unfulfilled. So it's pretty much every area, and the statistics show majority of humanity is currently stuck and oscillating and unfulfilled and unhappy. And that's really why I do what I do, because that's just not okay with me, that we live that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you mentioned that people can be unfulfilled in their jobs or in their day-to-day life. What are some symptoms that usually manifest? How do they know they're unfulfilled?
Well, you just have to look at the 4 bodies. So consider we have 4 bodies. The physical, so our physical shell or our skin bag and all the organs and blood and systems inside. Our mental body, so this is our thoughts. Our emotional body, this is our feelings, and then our spiritual body. So the symptoms are when you feel like crap, when you have a lack of energy, when you're not sleeping, when you're experiencing stress, anxiety, tension, tightness, soreness, stiffness. That's your body's way of kind of holding on and trying to keep it all together. Mentally, you're going to have a lack of clarity, confusion, you'll doubt yourself, you'll doubt your abilities, you won't have the ability to make decisions quickly, or you won't back yourself. Emotionally, you'll be what's called below the line versus above the line. And below the line are emotions are very low frequency emotions, anywhere from anger, despair, upset, resentment, and then the lower vibrations, because everything is energy, consider, shame and guilt. And this is when we are carrying the pain of the past. We're carrying the stories of the past, which is a really important topic I'd love to kind of unpack a little bit with you. And, spiritually, well, the impact there is many people kind of just don't feel connected to anything greater than themselves. And I'm not talking religion, that's a different topic. I'm just talking having kind of faith in themselves or something bigger. And so the experience often there is feeling alone. So you can be in a room full of people, you can have the biggest European family possible, and you still have this experience of being alone. You could be in a loving relationship, loyal, relationship, but yet you feel disconnected and alone. That's also another sign. So the 4 bodies can manifest in very different ways. It can be a bit of everything, or, you know, one more than the other.
Yeah, that's amazing, because as part of my previous interview that I did with my chiropractor, a lot of people see these physical signs that, you know, they have tension in their back or in their shoulders, and they think, I've got to go to the physio or with the chiro and to get a, you know, a quick fix, but it never actually gives them that long-term resolution. It's actually an emotional cause that's causing it to be in that way.
Yeah, well, you know, absolutely. My opinion is that emotion, and you may have heard this before, is just energy in motion.
Yeah.
And, you know, when we are experiencing feelings of depression or low feelings, I truly believe that it is just the impact of suppressing our feelings or our upset over and over and over, and then we push it down and we push it down and we don't deal with it, and then it gets to a point where we just can't breathe anymore. And I don't know if you've ever tried to hold a beach ball underwater, but you try and hold one of those big ones underwater, it's going to come up and whack you in the chin when you least expect it. And you know, the miracle of our bodies, Susan, is they're very clever vehicles that fortunately give us warning signs. And when we ignore them, sometimes it can be too late. And I do also believe that disease is a function of dis-ease in the body. So we want to pay attention to the physical, mental, emotional, and then spiritual disconnects and upsets that we're navigating from time to time.
Yeah, because as you said, those discomforts manifest as pain, and pain is actually really good because it's your body telling you there's something going on here. We need to, you know, hold on. We need to look at this before we do anything else. And so you mentioned you wanted to unpack the journey someone goes through when they're exploring their past and how that affects them. Yeah,
well, you know, people ask me often, what's the kind of number one cause for people feeling stuck or oscillating? And I truly believe that there is only one cause, and that is, consider as human beings, stuff happens to us all the time, right? Mm. Stuff happens. I could say that in another way and you get what I mean, right? Yeah. It happens. However, consider, Susan, that it's never what happens that gives us our experience of life. It is what we decide as a result. It's the definition. It's the meaning we add to it. And to give you an example of this, you know, I've had the privilege of working with hundreds and hundreds of people from a whole bunch of happenings. You can have someone over here at the traumatic end, you know, and so I've heard stories of stuff you wouldn't want to read about, that people have gone through really significant, impactful stuff, whether it be them as a kid or as they were growing up. And then you can have something over here that's kind of not so traumatic. So this might be something like, you know, you're sitting at the dinner table with your mum and dad and your siblings. You've eaten your meat and 3 veg. The siblings have run off and you followed your parents into the kitchen. They're scraping the mashed potato off the plate and you say, can you read me a story? And mum or dad says, you know, not now, Susan, we're busy. Yeah. And that's what happens. But the interesting thing is we go and make it mean something like, well, I'm not important, I'm not enough, or I'm not loved, or I'm not worthy, or I don't matter. And what I find fascinating is it actually, with great respect to those that have had terrible things happen, it doesn't matter whether it was deeply traumatic or pretty simple, both people make the same definition of not being good enough.
Wow.
And so it is never what happens that determines our perception or experience of life. It is always what we decide directly after. And this is what has us stuck and oscillating. So to unpack that even more, some examples of that are, you know, you might have been a kid in school, the teacher asks a question, you know the answer. So you're like, you know, putting your hand up and you get picked and you say the answer and you get it wrong. And all the kids laugh and the teacher says, you know, no, sit down, Susan, you know, it's okay. That's what happened. But inside you go, we'll never do that again. I will never put myself in that position again because that's embarrassing and painful. And then you grow up and maybe you work for a company and you're in a boardroom and the CEO, CFO, or someone's asking a question and you know you have the answer, but you suppress your truth. and you're disempowered because there's little Susan inside that's still feeling those feelings and she doesn't want to go there. Or maybe you poured yourself into a relationship. Maybe you really loved that girl or you really loved that guy and you kind of put your heart on the line and it didn't go so well and they left you. And that's what happened. But we decide, well, don't trust women or don't trust men or never give yourself fully. And so as a result, we hold back, we, keep our cards close, and then we meet this amazing person and we're not giving ourselves fully. So there's like time and time and time again, there are things that are going to happen to us in the journey of life, but we really have the choice to be the author or the story. And in my 30 years experience of hacking into peak performance and empowered leadership and human potential, this is the number one distinction that trips us up. And it's called definition is decisive, or said in another way, be careful what you say because you are listening. So why is it that some people can have crappy things happen and they just get on with it? And then other people can have pretty little things in the scheme of it happen and they crumble and are disempowered and completely have no access to evolution and growth. It's the story they're telling themselves and they believe that it's true. Not only, Susan, do we believe it's true, but we go about our life looking for evidence to prove that we're right about our beliefs. Yeah. We seek out examples to be right about it. And that's what has us stuck and oscillating.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense, and it's pretty powerful stuff because all of this thing is like it's emotional, but it's deeply subconscious as well.
Yes, you're right. 98% of everything we think and do comes from our subconscious mind, and our subconscious mind is our filing cabinet from the past. It's the one that stores all of our opinions, all of our beliefs, all of our judgments and assessments. But unfortunately, we've got a little default as a human being when it comes to our filing system, because when stuff happens and we make it mean something that's disempowering, we don't file it in the past. We actually file it in the future. Don't trust men. Don't trust women. I'm not good enough. I'm unsuccessful. I'll never win. And then we just go about being right about it, and the universe gives us plenty of opportunities to kind of tick that off the checklist.
And it's a bit like being in your own prison of self-limiting beliefs that are not true and are not serving you.
Yeah.
So Tanja, is there a way to get past that, or is it other habits that you can develop to be aware of them and then find ways, alternative ways of finding meaning and attaching meaning onto things?
But yes, thankfully there are. And you know what? They're really simple. And sometimes what our ego, or for us ladies, our she-go, we like to really complicate things. Yeah. So I find as a coach, often when I'm like, it's really simple, it's like, really? And then we don't do it. So it's actually really simple. So the first thing we want to do is, like what you were saying before, Susan, kind of check in with yourself and go, okay, let me look at the 4 bodies, because that's going to be a compass to tell you if there is anything going on, right? And I've never really met a person that isn't either stuck or oscillating in any area of their life. So you want to just take stock and go, how do I feel physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually? And is there an area of my life where I feel like I'm stuck, not getting anywhere, or oscillating? There'll always be a yes in most cases, unless you've kind of really enlightened and you've done a lot of work. You want to look at then whatever that area is. So if I was to ask you to pick an area, so we can do this so it's really beneficial to your viewers, just pick a random area for anyone. What would you say?
Let's say money.
Money, good one, because that's a big one for most people. All right, so I feel stuck financially, and usually, like, I'm stuck financially. But here's what people are saying to themselves in their subconscious. I don't have enough money. I never have enough money. That's the story that's going on in the background. Now, the fact is, and this is what we do, we collapse the facts with our feelings. We want to just deal with the facts. So the facts are, you have the money you have, and you don't have the money you don't have. That's it. That's all. Everything else is a story. I don't have enough money. I'm not good with money. I've never been good with money. No one taught me what, like, blah, blah, blah. Now, they're kind of valid, but listening to that loop and playing that loop over and over and over, you're literally broadcasting to yourself and the universe that that's your reality. So where attention goes, energy flows. You're going to keep manifesting a reality of, I don't have enough money, I'll never have enough money, I can't do what I want, money doesn't grow on trees. So not only do we manifest our own beliefs, we also inherit our parents. So if they said, money doesn't grow on trees, or, you can't have everything you want, we adopt it.
Yeah.
Right? So the first thing is you want to look at what your definition is, and definition is decisive, and you can have either an empowering or a disempowering definition. So around money, if you're telling yourself this negative stuff, you want to just actually do the second step. So step 1 is check in on your bodies and find an area you're stuck and oscillating. Step 2 is look at your definition. Is it empowering or disempowering? Usually it's disempowering. Step 3 is just get responsible for that. And what does that look like? You just literally go, okay, well, I'm the one saying that. Like, I have the money I have, I don't have the money I don't have, I earn what I earn. The rest is a story. Because until we actually are responsible for it, Susan, we don't have the ability to respond. And that's what responsibility means. When I'm being responsible, I relate to myself as able to respond to what's ever happening with my money or my body or my relationships or my work. But most people who are stuck and oscillating aren't being responsible for that dialogue and the story they're telling themselves, because it's deep in the subconscious and they don't even know.
Yeah.
So just go, okay, I'm responsible. Then you want to just get responsible for creating an empowered definition. So shift the dialogue from all the crap stuff to something more positive. And so you can start to then step into the land of affirmations. However, I have a little caveat on this. A lot of personal development stuff kind of just says, just affirm stuff and meditate. And, I've never seen, a bag of money fall out of the sky just because you're meditating on it.
Yeah.
And affirmation over core beliefs of not being good enough is like icing over a poo pie. It's just covering up the stuff that stinks. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's true.
It is, it's true.
Where attention goes, energy flows. So you don't want to put icing on a poo pie. You want to really powerfully deal with what is. And that's what I call positional awareness. So positive affirmations could be, rather than, if you don't have the money that you don't have, or you're telling yourself you're broke, you don't want to walk around being icing over poo pie going, oh, well, I'm rich and successful, I'm rich and successful, I'm rich and successful, I'm rich and successful. You want to start kind of moving into the realm that you want to be in, like, and kind of talk to yourself in a way of what creates positional awareness, which is something like this. I'm becoming more and more aware of my power around money, and I'm becoming more conscious of my contribution towards creating money. And every day, in every way, I'm looking at ways to improve my relationship with money and become a magnet for money. And as you start talking about who you are and your awareness and what you're becoming, you raise your energy vibration. And if you follow Abraham Hicks or Esther Hicks, the law of attraction is not that you just broadcast what you want. To get what you want, you have to become an energetic match for it. So rather than meditating on what you want to start connecting to the feeling of what would it feel like if you had financial freedom? What would it feel like if you lived in abundance, whatever that meant for you? What would it feel like to be wealthy? So if I asked you around money, if you kind of didn't have any money concerns, they all really disappeared, and Susan, you could just do what you want, when you want, how you want, how would that feel?
That would feel liberating.
Yeah. So that's the energy you want to connect with. Like, every day in every way, I'm kind of taking the conscious actions to be liberated about money, and I'm excited that I'm on the right track now. I'm telling myself good things. And when I think about that liberation, I feel light, I feel free, I feel grateful and joyous, and I'm sharing it with people, and boom. And Esther Hicks, or Abraham Hicks, which is just a collection of consciousness, a stream of consciousness. I highly recommend your viewers check it out. There's a YouTube channel, Esther Hicks or Abraham. Esther Hicks or Abraham Hicks, so Esther Hicks is the channel for Abraham, says that you just have to practice thinking those feeling thoughts for 68 seconds a day for the universe to receive your message and start co-creating that reality with you.
68 seconds. That's amazing. Why is it 68?
There's a belief that it's, you know, you can start with like 17 seconds and then another 17 seconds and 68 seconds, and that's just all it takes for you to get in a positive frame of mind to elevate your frequency or your energetic level for the universe to receive that message. Because if you're not thinking at that vibration above the line, it's a very dull, diluted, heavy frequency. And this is all energy. And it kind of feels like a pretty random statement. And I wouldn't even be sharing this distinction if I hadn't practiced it for myself. So to give you some practical magic, I practiced this 68 seconds practice for 21 days because, you know, it's kind of internationally known that if you practice a habit for 21 days, well, a practice for 21 days, that's how you build a habit, because it does take 21 days to literally build new neurological pathways in our brain that will be hardwired for success. So I practiced this 61-second practice as a bookend at the beginning of my day and at the end of my day for 21 days. And I can wholeheartedly look you in the eye and say, every aspect of my physical reality improved. I landed more clients, more money came in. I wasn't sweating the small stuff. I was more empowered in all areas of my life. I didn't experience being stuck or oscillating. Not everything was in the free-flowing circle, but it was certainly a beautiful work in progress. So, you know, it works.
That's amazing. That's so inspiring to hear. And I like one of the key things that I like you said is that action, because people can, you know, say all these things to themselves that are, you know, that are joyful, but then if they're not actually doing anything about it, then they're not meeting that vibrational frequency.
Yeah, and then they get angry and annoyed or other feelings at the universe because it's like, well, where's my stuff?
Yeah.
Where's my mat? I wrote the list, you know, I did a New Year's Eve resolution. I've got a vision board, right?
Yeah.
But it is a dance and it's a co-creation. And there are a couple of fundamentals that are really important, and clarity is one of them. And another reason, Susan, why people are stuck and oscillating is we're just not clear. We're not clear about what we want. We're very vague. And so when we're vague, the universe can't kind of deliver exactly what we want. And one of the things I've come to learn is, why aren't we clear? Why aren't we asking for what we want? Many of us have a disempowered belief that we either don't deserve it, we're not worthy of it, or it's not really going to happen. It's kind of tooth fairyland. You know? And so what's the point?
Yeah. And would you say they're almost fear success?
Well, that's one of the biggest reasons why we don't get responsible around co-creating our reality. We're feeling failure, but more so we're fearing success. And, you know, you asked before, you know, what are some of the reasons why people get stopped? That is one of the biggest reasons, because I think 3% of the world's population are, you know, thought leaders, game changers, rule breakers, and entrepreneurs. That 3% hold the world's wealth. Here's what I know studying human excellence. The difference between successful, and that is not just defined by wealth, that's defined by, in my opinion, holistically, like inner peace, happiness, fulfillment, no matter what, like success is your version of it.
Yeah.
So, but let's talk success as in personal empowerment, being I am thriving in life, not surviving in life. I'm a creator of my life, not a victim of circumstance. Okay, so let's define for the purpose of this conversation success in I'm empowered to create my own life. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So here's what those people, which is a small percentage of humanity, do that we can practice. So all of your viewers can practice. Never collapse failure with being a failure. So an example of that is the Beatles. You know, they were knocked back by the Decca recording company because they said they didn't like their music and guitar music's on the way out. Walt Disney was fired by the newspaper that he worked for, and because they said he lacked imagination.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan was cut from the basketball team of his high school, and he went home and bawled his eyes out. And let's look at Thomas Edison. He created the light bulb, but he listened to his story. Depending on the research you do, some say it took him 1,000 attempts to create it, some say 6,000, and I've read some views that say 10,000. So it's just, I don't know what the answer is, so let's choose the middle. Let's say 6,000, right? Somewhere in there. Let's say 6,000. Let's say it took him 6,000 attempts to create the light bulb. Now, when he was interviewed by a journalist along the way, and the journalist would have said something like, Thomas, you've tried to create this light bulb thing for, you've tried 365 times. Like, you've failed 365 times. Why don't you just stop? Why don't you just quit? Here's the difference and why he's Thomas Edison and we're not right now. His perspective was, well, I have actually eliminated 365 ways that this doesn't work. I'm actually 365 steps closer to the light bulb. And he just kept going. But most of us, we go for something, Susan, and we don't get it instantly. And as Matt Church says, instant coffee just isn't instant enough. Yeah. And we go, oh, well, it didn't work. I failed. I'm a failure.
Yeah.
But the most successful people on the planet are literally the ones with the most cuts and bruises and band-aids on their shins because they have failed the most, but they never collapse failure with being a failure, ever. And if we did that, if we just stopped trying to be perfect and just stopped worrying about what people think of us and stopped fearing being judged, and we just got out there in life and gave it a good crack and picked ourselves up and dusted ourselves off and just kept going until we realized our dreams, we would be free. We wouldn't be stuck and oscillating, disempowered and waiting for the bag of money to fall in our lap.
Yeah. Sorry, I was distracted. It was a ping. No, it's okay.
That's Thomas Edison ringing to say, hey, thanks for sharing my story. No.
It's people don't realize that failure is part of the journey. You need to fail so that you can reach that goal. I mean, I'm sure people like Bill Gates or Steve Jobs didn't rock out of bed like, hey guys, what's up, I'm going to invent this. It's a process. Yeah. And especially with children growing up these days with mobile phones, everything that they get instant, they're just basically being conditioned to think that they can get life goals come instantly as well. So then, we need to also teach our children and to recondition our own habits that we actually need to work through this process. And it's a journey, and you either, there's no failure, you either learn or you move on to the next.
Yeah, you learn or grow. Every experience, the way I agree with you, the way I kind of put it is everything that's happening to us is either a lesson or a blessing. And either way, it's a blessing. We're either learning and evolving or we're receiving the fruits of our labor. And if we just relate to ourselves as a perfectly imperfect, consistent work in progress and give up the addiction to be perfect, and liked by everyone, we'd actually be having a lot more fun. And, there's a really simple practice that will help viewers achieve that if you'd like me to share.
Please.
I'm a huge fan of Tony Robbins, and why wouldn't you be? Like, he's spent, decades traveling the world, transforming millions and millions of people's lives. And one of the greatest distinctions that he shares is the 3 steps for success. So for us and all your viewers that are watching this, if you do want to shift from where you're stuck and oscillating into free as a strategy, do the stuff I talked about before, but from a whole life perspective, you want to have these 3 things in place. Number 1 is your standards. What are your standards that you've set for yourself? What's your why? What are your values? Because if you don't know where you stand, you'll fall for anything. And we've all heard this before. You've got to turn your shoulds into musts. So what must your life look like? And Susan, in my humble opinion, many of us don't dream big enough. Many of us just achieve, if we're broke or suffering financially, consider at some level, well, that's all we expect. If anyone watching this is experiencing kind of getting by week or month to month, or you get paid monthly, you get to the end of the month and you're like scrambling and eating rice and tuna, not by choice but by circumstance, that's what you expect of yourself. So we want to raise our expectations and turn our shoulds into musts. The second thing is, when we're really clear about what we want, we need a strategy to fulfill it. So this is where we have daily rituals, and this is a brilliant one, The Morning Miracle by Hal Elrod. I can talk a little bit more about that if you have time, or go and check that out for yourselves. It's got a great morning ritual that'll put you in an incredible state to increase your chances of being free in all areas. So what are your daily rituals? What are your weekly musts? What are your monthly musts? What are your habits? And an ideal week is one of those, reverse engineering your time to fulfill on your why. And finally, your state, your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual state. Are you eating fuel or filler? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you thinking good thoughts? Because garbage in, garbage out. Are you holding on to the past and stressed about the stuff that doesn't matter? If you're anxious or worried, you're either in the past or in the future. It's time to get present. And are you practicing a faith? Are you meditating and detaching from thought? So those 3 steps to success are a really simple structure or architecture that will give us an access into what's missing. Do I have a big enough why? Do I have dreams and goals? And are they shoulds or musts? Do I actually have strategies to fulfill on them? Do I have a coach? Do I have a personal trainer or a great chiropractor? You know, who's looking after me? And am I being responsible for my state? As a coach, that's the architecture that I coach from. Whenever I'm working with someone, I'm always referring to where do I need to go and what's missing. And it's just really simple way to get access to act differently.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm going to go through that step myself. I'm going to play rewind. I'm going to go through that step myself, and I'm also going to do the 68-second vibration thing.
Yeah, and all these resources are online. So you just have to Google Tony Robbins, 3 steps to success, 68 seconds, Esther Hicks or Abraham Hicks. The Morning Miracle by Hal Elrod. This is incredible. A very clear morning ritual. That's an acronym called SAVERS, that if you just practice that one thing every morning, you will be in the top 1% of the most successful people on the planet, because there's one thing that empowered people do. They start their day in the right way.
Right, SAVERS. Can we go a little bit about that?
Awesome, thank you. So SAVERS is an acronym for S is for silence.
Yeah.
A moment of silence. Meditation is a good practice for that. And meditation really is a fancy name of saying detach from thought, because we are always crazy thinking about stuff. So when you meditate, you're kind of disengaging from your automatic pilot and your thought, and you're creating space. And when you create space, you can then become the observer and choose your thoughts wisely rather than be governed by your thoughts. So meditate. A is for affirmation. Be careful what you say, because you are listening. So affirm who you are. I am are the 2 most powerful words you can say. What follows makes a difference.
Yeah.
So say the stuff that matters. I'm a work in progress, or I'm courageous, or I'm brave, or I am vulnerable, or I'm inspiring. Like I'm love and magic, whatever. V is for visualization. So this goes back to the 68 seconds. Visualizing what you want to be crystal clear, and not only kind of visualize it, but visualize the feeling. If you want a new car, visualize like the smell, the leather, and feel your hands and feel your back being hugged by the seat. Visualize the life you want. Visualize the guy or girl you want. Visualize your heart or your body healthy. E is for exercise. The best way to change your state. If you're watching this and you feel crap, after this interview, get a great song on and move your body, or put your headphones in and go and move your body. You're changing your physical state will release endorphins, will, get your blood flowing, will oxygenate your system. So exercise is vital. R is for read. So read something, that's empowering. Or if you're driving to work and you've got a lot of time, listen to a podcast or listen to great music. Feel yourself. Remember, garbage in, garbage out, good in, good out. So really Don't watch the news. Don't listen to crappy talkback radio, because it's all going in. If there's an area you want to become masterful at, then listen to the Tom Panoses, listen to the Tim Ferrisses, listen to the Marie Forleos, the Oprah Winfreys, the Brené Browns, the Richard Bransons of the world. Listen to them and absorb, and then replicate. And then finally, S is Scribe. And this probably, from my research, is one of the most powerful. Have an attitude of gratitude and keep a gratitude journal. And there's the 5-minute journal that you can download online. And if you just spend a few minutes a day finding something to be grateful for, and you know what, there's plenty to be grateful for. Like, you know, I'm grateful for the bridges. It still amazes me about how people make bridges. I'm grateful for my toothbrush. I'm grateful for the road that I drive on. I'm just grateful. If you don't even know what you want, if you're not clear about where you're going, and you feel that life has dealt you some pretty tough hands, that's okay. That's the past. You can be the author and not the story. And if you have no idea about what the future holds for you and you don't know where to start, that, Susan, is the place to start. Have an attitude of gratitude that will elevate your state from below the line to above the line, and you will start to naturally attract the right circumstances, people, opportunities, and miracles that will just appear by virtue of who you're being. So this book deconstructs it, and it was a near-death experience that Hal had that had him start to look at life differently, which is quite a common occurrence for people that go on to, you know, change their and millions of people's lives. But I kind of think, why wait for a near-death experience?
I know, right?
We have a 1 in 14 billion chance of being incarnated in today's day and age. We are a miracle on earth. Let's act like it. And let's treat each other like that too, and then watch what happens. If any of your viewers want deeper lessons or resources or insights of anything that I've spoken about, whether it be the Abraham Hicks, the Tony Robbins, the Morning Miracle, the 5-minute journal, or my own, experience, you can certainly, jump onto my website, tmjcoaching.com.au, or, email me at Tanja, Tanja, at tmjcoaching.com.au, and, really happy to connect and provide some, contribution if I can.
Awesome. So I'll have your links below, and I'll also include the links of all the resources that you mentioned.
Yeah, I'll flick them to you. Yeah, for sure.
Tanja, this has just been a mind-experiencing interview. I've learned so much personally, and I can't wait to apply it myself. You talked about how, people go from stuck to oscillating, how they can get out of that, and it's just so simple. So you're just such an inspiration and just an incredible miracle. So thank you so much for being the love and the light that you are. It's been...
Oh, I love you. Thank you so much. And thanks for the opportunity, and good on you for taking the time to share the good stuff and provide a platform for people to learn about this stuff, because the more we share the good stuff, the better we'll all be. So I really acknowledge you for what you're doing too, Susan, and all the viewers. It's one thing to hear it, but you want to take one thing at least and just put it into action within the next 24 hours. Otherwise, it'll just be a nice insight, and then life will take over again. So, happy to help.
Awesome. Well, there you go, guys. Pick one thing and do it in 24 hours.
Yeah.
Tanja Jones, thank you so much. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, leave your comments in the section below, and share it so you can inspire other people. Thanks so much for joining me in the Help Others movement, and I'll see you in the next video.